Your role's obviously more analysis, etc. Just wondering, the provincial teams have now played the All Blacks. Just what the feedback you guys got and the interaction, what you learned from that?
Yeah, well, luckily we've got a good relationship with Dubbo, JP, Cash, Shackers, and all of us as coaches chat pretty regularly. So it's been good to get their thoughts on their games. A lot of it has been confirmation of what we saw in the Nations Championship. You know, how they're trying to attack, how they're trying to defend, what they're doing, their kicking game, and trying to develop there. So a lot of it's been confirmation in what we've seen already. A couple of things probably caught them out. A couple of things probably trended across the feedback across the different franchises. A few things around the breakdown. They experienced like tuck shoulders going into the breakdown, which I know they weren't really happy with, you know, reversed arm type non-wrapping action. So that was a consistent theme that came out, and probably the other big one for them was they were all actually quite happy. They created a lot of opportunity in terms of getting themselves into scoring positions, maybe 10 metres out. Most of the teams got multiple line-out opportunities there. And I think they found it. They were frustrated that they couldn't score with their maul, and it's tough when there's someone pulling you or trying to lift a leg, or maybe just going off feet for a couple of seconds. So I think there was probably those two common themes of what they weren't too happy with, but a lot of it was confirmation. So yeah.
Just to follow up on that, Rusty mentioned yesterday that the breakdown. You've just mentioned it now. You said it was Rusty's words was it's brutal. You've mentioned the tuck shoulders. Do you think it's a coaching tactic, or do you think that's just bad technique maybe from that?
Well, I don't think it's something I've really seen with them over the last. We've obviously analysed them extensively over the last number of years, and it's not something I've seen regularly in them. But definitely, this is that the feedback we got from the franchise of what we've seen. There's an element of that in there. And we're all for the physical side of the game, as everyone is aware. So, whatever word wants to be associated with it, we want it to be within the laws. So, yeah, we're just aware of that going into the game.
Jason, can I just ask you something? What is the difference between getting game time in 2 matches, 3 matches on the trot at the moment, versus you guys deciding to work behind this, almost like behind the scenes here, not having matches? Do you think you guys are getting prepared or fully prepared enough for what's coming away this coming Saturday against a team who's had enough game time this past week?
Yeah, a good question. I think both teams, probably to answer it, both teams are going to feel really prepared. That's the games that they've had is the franchise games, and we've obviously had a preparation against Argentina for some guys, and we have had some guys that have stayed behind here, and obviously Rassi will announce the team later in the week. So yeah, I mean, you can't really. I don't think anyone when New Zealand plays South Africa, I don't know if any prep really replicates the level of intensity that you're going to experience. But I think both teams would say going into this game that they feel prepared.
Grant, you came back from injury early in the start of the international season, and now Cam Roygaard might make an appearance on Saturday, also coming back from injury. What do you expect from that matchup if you get to face him, and are you looking forward to that?
Well, we first got to wait till Thursday for team announcement, so might be Kobus, might be Krappies, might be Herschel, so yeah, but if I get the honor to play on Saturday, I mean, it's always good for me to put the team first. I won't be focused on my position. Obviously, I'll study him, but yeah, if I get the opportunity, then my job is to make sure the team goes forward. I think if Kobus, Krappies or Herschel get the opportunity, they'll do the same.
Felix, in the last 8 years, actually the Boks were, on top of the world. Actually, how do you and the rest of the management actually make sure that the Boks is on top of the world and for the next 4 or 5 years, that they don't take it up, since I'm saying maybe a year or so?
Yeah, well, to be honest, I think a lot of it is driven by these guys, the competition. that these guys have within training. I think a huge amount of credit has to go to Kevin Foote and Dave Vessels and all of the junior coaches that are producing so many hungry guys. And of course the way Ras sets up the team culture, that we don't have younger guys trying to drag the more experienced guys or older guys down, and vice versa. We try not to make sure that we don't have our more experienced guys trying to push those guys along, push those guys down. They're trying to bring them along. So we think we've got a healthy level of competition, and it's what makes team selection so difficult for us, because the guys all really care, they all really want to play, and they're all really buying in. So if we can keep that going, the margins are so small of being number one or number two, or winning a World Cup or losing a World Cup. 1 point, one penalty, one decision, one error. So it's definitely not a domination, because there's been times where Ireland have had the spot, New Zealand have had the spot, France are thereabouts. So I don't know if I can't give a guarantee if that's where we're going to be, but we're going to try and keep the competition and keep the team culture that we have.
Felix, hi. You spoke earlier to Brendan's question about the analysis you've done from the franchise's feedback. But when you're doing your analysis, looking at the All Blacks first 3 tests in July, is that more informing than the franchise games for you in terms of your analysis, looking at test matches?
I think there's a well, yes, because of the test match and the nature of the opposition that they're facing. They're facing, well, I'm not sure, near full strength, it's test level players, so it is a little bit more of an indication of how the match may look. But there's definitely been common threads throughout that, and they've clearly got a very strong identity around what they're trying to do in each area of the game, and those common threads I believe were present in the franchise games, even in the wet weather game in Durban. So they're really committed to the way they're trying to go. Is
it vastly different to how they have played in the past, this identity?
I would say if you looked at plenty of metrics, you would see certain shifts, significant shifts in the amount of kicking, or the amount of ball that they're trying to hold on to, or their phase count, or their possession, the amount of time in possession. You can see there has been a shift in what they're trying to do. Yeah.
Felix, I'm not sure if you're in a position to answer it, but I think Rusty yesterday said Sia and Ox kind of depended on one more session to see how they went. How did they go?
Both of them are tracking pretty good. There's been no flags or issues from what we've seen today in training. So we still have another session during the week, but there's been nothing majorly negative coming out of either of their recovery plans.
And Felix, we saw the videos of the guys doing the virtual training earlier in the year. What exactly is it used for, and can you improve the players' skills through that, reaction skills?
Grant was actually using it last night. It was Morney was having a crack off it last night. It all that is it's like a simulation of trying to actually gather up loose balls from contestable kicks, and we very kindly there's been 1 or 2 guys in South Africa that are developing it and have given us a lend of their unit. So we think there's something in it, and we'll keep enjoying it.
Grant, I would like to ask you this question of course later, if Zina allows me to. Can I ask you, and please, before I ask my question, can you correct me if the last time you played was against Scotland?
Last time I played?
The test match against Scotland?
Yes.
Yeah.
Scotland, yes.
Grant, can I ask you, what does this series mean for you? Now, mention rightfully that you haven't been, the squad as the team hasn't been announced in the first place. If you've been given an opportunity, what does you featuring against the All Blacks? Because Rassie yesterday mentioned, it reminded me that for any player, for any coach, it's a privilege facing the Haka, facing the All Blacks. What does it mean for you personally though? And does this opponent, is this an ideal for your type of game, a man that likes running around all over the TV screens?
Yes, of course. If selected, obviously it will be an honor for me to represent my country. And it goes deeper than that. Like you have family members that are All Black supporters. You have close members that are All Black supporters, and obviously it will give us, or myself, how can I put it, give me bragging rights if we can get one up on them in the family. So yeah, it will be a massive honor and privilege if selected, obviously. I know the squad is only coming out on Thursday, so yeah.
All right, vloggers off. And
Grant,
so,
Grant, does that make Christmas a bit awkward?